They have been spraying you for 30 years. The aluminum is in your blood now. This video shows you the test results they banned and why you are running out of time. The government's lie collapsed in the year 2012. Not with a whisper, but with one single chilling number, 1213. It's the industrial signature of the poison. This ratio, 12 parts aluminum, 1 part barium, and 3 parts strontium, is the specific proprietary signature of a purpose-built aerosolized mixture. It is not found in nature. It is not the byproduct of normal industrial pollution. The truth was detailed in a quiet, almost invisible study circulated internally within the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, titled Particulate Distribution Anomalies in Southwestern U.S. Soil Composition. It should have been a non-event, a dry bureaucratic assessment. Instead, it was a fire bell. The study detailed soil and water samples taken across 5 states, primarily near large, unrestricted airspaces, revealing an overwhelming saturation of fine, micron-sized metallic particulates present in this industrial proprietary ratio. This ratio is the smoking gun. When the EPA author tried to publish the findings, the study was retracted within 72 hours. Not corrected, but entirely eradicated. The lead scientist was placed on immediate, indefinite administrative leave. The official explanation was methodological inconsistencies. This is the first contradiction that establishes the truth. The official record says the air is clean, but the verifiable test results show a massive, non-natural chemical contamination. The retraction itself was only the first layer of the deception. We obtained time-stamped logs of the EPA's internal communications during those critical 72 hours. What they called methodological inconsistencies was, in fact, an urgent directive chain originating not from a scientific review board, but from the Office of Budgetary Oversight. This is crucial. The study wasn't rejected for science, it was rejected for cost risk. The internal EPA memo we uncovered, marked Priority Delta 7, stated explicitly that validation of the 12:1:3 ratio would necessitate unforeseen budgetary allocations for mass environmental remediation and public health crisis management. They weren't fighting bad data. They weren't fighting bad data. They were suppressing an impending 9-figure liability. The lead scientist didn't just pass away quietly from a career perspective. We managed to acquire a fragment of his original peer review submission, dated October of 2012. He had attached a final addendum warning that the particle size less than 2 microns was small enough for alveolar deposition, meaning the metallic dust would bypass the body's natural defenses and go straight into the bloodstream and soft tissues. This was the exact finding that guaranteed the study's eradication. His professional credentials weren't just scrubbed. We tracked the digital forensics, showing his entire 7 years of research files were deleted, then overwritten 3 times with corrupted data packets. A technique known as a sanitization burn. This degree of effort goes far beyond simply correcting a mistake. It is the signature of institutional panic trying to hide a crime. The initial contradiction was the contamination. The deeper contradiction is the extreme violence used to silence a man simply for reporting what was in the dirt. This level of bureaucratic aggression forced us to look at the next horrifying step, finding the poison in the population. The next step was to connect this contamination to the personal threat. That 12:1:3 ratio was not just in the dirt, it was in the human bloodstream. We broke through the state firewall and found the results. We obtained copies of banned medical test results from a state health department dating between 2013 and 2015. These were internal memos detailing patient blood tests, showing critically elevated levels of aluminum and barium. In every single one of these cases, the metal content matched that exact 12:1:3 industrial signature. The clinical implication was obvious: systemic metal toxicosis caused by aerosol inhalation. The signature matched, but the state health department's chilling internal directive meant one thing. They didn't just know, they were actively hiding the sickness in your own body. The mandated response, however, was a cynical, cruel form of containment. We have internal memos advising state doctors to attribute the high metal load to environmental exposure or dietary factors, implicitly blaming the victim. There was no mention of atmospheric modification. There was a specific, deliberate avoidance of the truth. To understand the scope of the deception, you must look at the digital trail they left behind. When the EPA study was removed, they did not simply delete a file. We detailed the specific dates and methods used to digitally scrub the lead EPA author's professional profile from archived government servers. The contradiction is not just the content of the study, but the evidence of its deletion itself. Why erase a flawed study so thoroughly unless that flaw was the truth? But they made a mistake. In the frantic effort to cleanse the record, a single, non-redacted, 6-digit purchasing code remained in the metadata of the original, retracted 2012 EPA report. The code was 884149. It wasn't a product code, but a procurement header linked to a highly specific industrial-grade filter mesh. It was a material not required for cleaning weather monitoring equipment, but for the industrial-scale distribution of fine particulate matter. This purchasing code, 884149, is the thread we must follow. The code is the key. 6 digits, 884149. Following this number was not a simple matter of looking up a supplier. The code was intentionally routed through 5 different jurisdictions and 3 different contractors over the course of 7 years. The mechanism was a bureaucratic shell game designed to make the source untraceable. This routing was a defense mechanism designed to generate digital noise. We had to use advanced forensic hash collision analysis, a technique usually reserved for counterintelligence, to delink the chain of no aereo transactions. The filter mesh itself, manufactured by a subcontractor in fictional location, was registered under a proprietary nomenclature, fine aerosol distribution mesh, grade B7. This grade is specifically engineered to resist the corrosive effects of metallic oxide nanoparticles under high-velocity expulsion, validating its use in high-altitude jet dispersal systems. This detail proves the mesh wasn't for filtering out contamination. It was for filtering in the specific particle size of the poison they were spraying. The paper trail, after months of painstaking analysis of obscure procurement logs, finally led to a shell corporation named Atmospheric Materials Procurement, or AMP. AMP was registered in Delaware, a state known for corporate anonymity, but its operational address was a P&O box in a strip mall outside Las Vegas, Nevada. The entire entity was designed as a phantom. The address itself was a dead end. We found the strip mall, but the P&O box was registered to a holding company that specialized only in digital document storage, ensuring zero physical trace. This is the point where the bureaucracy transforms into a systemic threat. Instead of finding a single, massive military budget, we discovered the operation was funded by 1,000 cuts. The financial trail revealed small, specific, recurring payments, rarely exceeding $4,550, paid to AMP for logistics consulting. These payments came not just from the Department of Defense, but also from the Department of Commerce, the Department of Energy, and even the EPA itself, the very agency that tried to suppress the contamination data. We dove deeper into the source of these payments. The term logistics consulting was a bureaucratic placeholder hiding something far more sinister. We found specific line-item budget requests from a Department of Energy geothermal research division that included a $4,520 payment to AMP for high-altitude atmospheric modeling support. This was the money used to pay for the poison. A Department of Commerce grant for advanced weather data assimilation included another payment of $4,545. Each agency funding a tiny sliver of a multi-million-dollar operation, ensuring that no single transaction ever triggered a standard high-level audit or review. The sheer genius of the deception lay in its complexity. We identified over 170 different, seemingly unrelated transactions over a 3-year period, all flowing into AMP. This decentralized funding structure is the ultimate mechanism of deception, rendering the entire project effectively invisible to a top-down audit. a single shell company, funded by dozens of agencies in 4 different states. This isn't negligence. This is a perfectly designed, systemic machine of plausible deniability. The personal stakes escalate here. To test the confidence of this apparatus, we took a risk. We called the official AMP phone number listed on its corporate registration. The line immediately connected, but there was no voice, no automated message, just 30 seconds of pure white noise sound engineers used to mask conversation before the line disconnected. This wasn't a final end. It was confirmation of active monitoring. The trace on AMP finally revealed its physical anchor. The recurring logistics payments all funneled money toward maintenance and security contracts for one single, isolated, decommissioned United States Air Force facility in the Utah desert. The site was officially listed in public records as Storage Depot 7. In every historical aerial map, it appeared as an abandoned airstrip, but recent, high-resolution satellite imagery showed a dramatic, newly constructed, heavily guarded perimeter, complete with advanced ground radar systems. The empty desert had been weaponized. We needed to know what they were protecting. The financial trail led us from the bureaucratic veil directly to the physical evidence, setting the stage for the next phase of discovery. The empty desert, the full perimeter. This is the dichotomy of Storage Depot 7. The vast emptiness of the Utah landscape only serves to highlight the disproportionately high-tech, layered security fencing that surrounds the innocuous-looking depot. The operation is designed to be invisible to passersby, but undeniable to an investigator. Depot 7 consists of 2 massive, reinforced hangars. Hangar 1 is historically registered for general vehicle maintenance. But it is Hangar 2 that provides the most compelling structural contradiction. Hangar 2, constructed rapidly in 2005, is outwardly identical to the first, yet it is architecturally alien. It is missing all standard commercial exhaust ports and has specialized high-capacity heating, ventilation, and air conditioning ducting leading inwards with triple-stage high-efficiency particulate air filters designed to trap particles down to the sub-micron level. This is not the standard engineering for an aircraft maintenance facility. It is the infrastructure for containing and processing extremely fine particulate matter on an industrial scale. The building is a massive vacuum cleaner designed to prevent its own inventory from escaping. The hangar wasn't designed to keep the weather out. It was designed to ensure not a single particle of the poison could escape. The external air intakes for the HVAC system were enormous, far larger than required for human occupation. We cross-referenced the maintenance schematics for Hangar 2 with commercial air filter capacity ratings. The filtration capacity was rated to process an airflow volume equivalent to that of a 20-story corporate skyscraper compressed into a single hangar. This suggests the air inside the hangar had to be continuously scrubbed and purified, likely due to high concentrations of fugitive metallic dust particles stirred up during the payload loading process. The pressure differentials required for this operation are staggering. The loading bays tell an even more compelling story. They are not standard roll-up doors. They are sealed with custom pneumatic gaskets and pressurized seals, suggesting the contents handled are volatile, toxic, or highly prone to escape as fugitive dust. The mechanical integrity of Hangar 2 confirms that the facility's function is non-standard and highly specialized for the handling of massive quantities of the metallic aerosols found in the EPA study. The use of custom-molded neoprene gaskets on the loading doors indicated the need for a truly hermetic seal, a precaution only necessary if the cargo itself could escape detection via the slightest air current. We drove to the public lands, abutting the perimeter to confirm the site's activity. Using a private geological sensor, we registered a brief, intense spike of electromagnetic energy consistent with a military-grade MHD, magnetohydrodynamic, pump, a tool used for moving vast amounts of gas or fluid quickly. This confirmed that the specialized infrastructure inside Hangar 2 was active. The magnetic signature of the pump was not consistent with water or fuel transfer, but with the high-speed transfer of aerosol suspension, the exact process required to load micronized powder into the custom tanks of a spray aircraft. Next, the aerial confirmation. Analysis of thermal satellite images showed the maintenance hangar, Hangar 1, was consistently cold, empty. But Hangar 2 showed the subtle, warm thermal signature of 12 identically sized, non-commercial jet aircraft parked nose to tail. These were not passenger jets. They were all equipped with rear fuselage modifications, inconsistent with standard air transport or even refueling. They were spray aircraft, waiting for their next payload. The thermal imaging data revealed two key facts. First, the 12 jets were clustered tight, nose to tail, indicating highly standardized automated loading procedures. Second, the aircraft engine cowlings showed localized heat retention patterns, suggesting prolonged, repeated use at high altitude, far exceeding standard military transport duty cycles. The key to the final piece of the puzzle lay at the perimeter. An old, water-damaged maintenance log, likely a deliberate leak, was found near the outer fence. The log contains no flight plans, which would be too obvious, but repeatedly referenced payload type G8 and a specific chilling instruction, flush line after every 180-day cycle. 180 days is 6 months. 2 cycles are 1 year. 3 cycles are 18 months. This 180-day cycle immediately echoes the 18-month threat timeline established in the title of this broadcast. The danger is not abstract, it is tied to a logistics schedule. The G8 protocol. We started this investigation with a toxic blood test. We now stand at the door of the hangar where the toxicity was loaded. The 180-day marker on the maintenance log is the start of the final stage. The tone shifts here. This is no longer an investigation. It is a warning. The 180-day marker, it is a warning. The key to this chapter is the leaked Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency DARPA internal memo from 2017. It connects the dots between payload G8 and the 18-month countdown. Acquiring this memo was not an infiltration, but a forensic extraction. It was hidden inside a compressed data package disguised as an annual infrastructure report for a regional electric utility, a classic obfuscation technique known as a gray file. Once decrypted, the memo confirmed payload G8 was the initial, intended dispersal product, a stratospheric aerosol mixture of aluminum and barium designed for geoengineering specifically to reflect solar radiation and manage climate change. But the catastrophic failure is that the operation mutated. The DARPA memo detailed the scientific side effect. The aluminum-barium nanoparticles are bonding in vivo with human central nervous system tissue faster than predicted. The memo estimated that the particle size coupled with high barium concentrations allowed for rapid crossing of the blood-brain barrier, a failure mode never anticipated in the original models. The 18-month deadline is not a random date. It is the estimated point where the neurological buildup triggers an irreversible, mass-scale cognitive impairment in the general population. The operation was designed to save the atmosphere but has created a biological weapon against humanity. This changes the entire nature of the conspiracy. We have evidence of the failure. A redacted page from the DARPA memo details a failed test on non-human primates in 2015. The subjects, after exposure to G8, exhibited severe disorientation and dangerously aggressive territoriality. The subjects were categorized in the memo as having reached a point of non-intervention, meaning the neurological damage had become irreversible. They weren't just sick, they were weaponized. The final piece of evidence confirms the point of no return. We found a recent official budget proposal for AMP that no longer includes funding for the actual aerosol spraying. Instead, the entire budget is allocated for post-Phase 1 containment mitigation. This is the chilling indicator that the exposure phase is officially over. The spraying stopped, the dose was administered, and the biological clock has officially started. This is the line in the sand. They are moving into the cleanup phase, which means the exposure phase is over. This is time-sensitive information, and it's being erased every second we wait. Share this video immediately. Send it to 5 people you trust. We need to alert as many people as possible to the 18-month window. The urgency of the situation forced the cleanup crew to overlook one final piece of evidence. A tiny, water-damaged photographic slide was found next to the DARPA memo. It is an image of an extremely old, handwritten document labeled Operation Skyfish 1974. The crisis we face is not new. It is a 40-year-old threat, reactivated, and tragically corrupted. The original sin, 1974. The 18-month clock is ticking, but to understand the fate of our future, we must look backward. We started with the blood test, traced it to the hangar, and now the photographic slide takes us back to the 70s. Operation Skyfish was an entirely separate, classified project from the 1970s, focused on early intercontinental ballistic missile ICBM trajectory tracking using a dispersed atmospheric tracer. The original purpose was entirely defensive, to calibrate early radar systems against atmospheric interference. The aerosol composition was similar to G8, containing aluminum powder, but critically, it lacked the neurological bonding agent, strontium titanate, the specific component that causes the rapid central nervous system deterioration. The current conspiracy is an unauthorized reactivation of the original Skyfish logistics and infrastructure, the planes, the hangars, the personnel, but with a catastrophic weaponized goal. The shift from ICBM tracking to neurological control is the pivot point of the whole crime. The true hidden truth is that the current operation, Payload G8, was an unauthorized modification carried out by a small faction within the original AMP structure. This is the Rogue Apparatus, a group operating with deep institutional access but outside of formal oversight. This explains the intense internal cover-ups and the lack of full governmental knowledge. The bureaucracy itself was co-opted. The aim was not simply geoengineering, but to weaponize the side effects for mass control via cognitive impairment. The corruption was a deliberate respecification of the original defensive payload, replacing the inert tracer with the chemically active neurotoxic compound. The documentation of this historical corruption is chilling. We obtained a small piece of a supposed statement before their passing, a fictionalized transcript from a retired Skyfish logistician. He detailed his concern in the late 1990s about the new protocols being adopted for the old Skyfish fleet, knowing they were medically unsafe and had no relation to atmospheric tracking. He noted specifically an unexplained increase in the security clearance needed for the mixing and suspension protocols, which handled the payload material. This was the moment the original defensive program was secretly converted into a delivery system for poison. We are left with the final, terrifying warning. We obtained a satellite image from yesterday, showing one of the modified jets from Depot 7 flying a silent, grid-like pattern directly over 5 million people. This suggests a final, catastrophic dispersal, a last booster shot to ensure the neurological clock cannot be reversed. This was not weather mitigation. This was final dosing. The investigation is over, but the threat is now active and pervasive. We have the evidence, we have the timetable, and now we know the mechanism. The truth is not that they are spraying us to control the weather. The truth is that a small, rogue apparatus used an old program to poison us for control. 18 months is not a scare tactic. It is a clinical projection. The only defense is to mitigate the aluminium load now and detoxify your system before the 18-month clock expires. We have presented evidence of their transgression. The next step is your defense. This is the first step. The next video shows you how to fight back. Don't let this be the end of the line. The files we found today confirm that some narratives are built on deliberate lies, leaving us alone in the dark with the true story. If you want to keep pushing back against the silence, be sure to like this video, share it with someone who questions the known world, and subscribe to join us on the next investigation. What evidence did you find most unsettling? Leave a comment below, because when the powerful determine a truth is too dangerous to share, the silence itself becomes the loudest warning.